This is Austin and Matt. This is Matt.
And I'm Austin.
This week we watched Rye Lane on Hulu.
Hulu. Yeah.
Yes, we watched Rye Lane on Hulu. If you like what you hear, like and subscribe. Austin, what did you like about this movie?
Yeah, dude. I mean, for it being a romantic comedy, I think they definitely hit those two things on the head. I definitely found myself smiling a whole lot, laughing, and then I definitely, felt the romance and everything that was going on for it. So I felt like they nailed that part out of the that out of the park. um, Comparing it to like other romantic comedies, I'll say like I'm not big into romantic comedy. It's not my favorite genre. But I did feel like it was done really well. I love the focus of just the two characters. The movie title made a hell of a lot of sense to me considering like what the movie consists of. And honestly, like this felt very real to me. Is really just like the my impression of it is that like this conversation that we're happening, these things really do develop and how things were going, and I honestly felt like there was a great connection that was going through. A lot of times in romantic comedy situations, it's like I don't really see these two people actually talking in a day to day, or like the happenstance of like one runs into the other one and then they envelop in like this whole thing. But like this felt very natural and very real to me, so I was digging that. The comedy is definitely a lot of British humor comedy, so like I'm a big fan of that. My wife was out of it in like the first 15 minutes. She was not for it at all, so I would definitely say like it's definitely a very pick of the audience. But yeah, I loved it. I thought it was a great time. Now like I say this as like I'm probably not gonna go back and watch it unless I'm going through a breakup or something. But like it was cute and it was fun. So like that's my big thing. Matt, what about you?
Uh, so there's one thing I was going to mention first. I'm going to mention it last because I loved it that much. Um, I think that this movie had these like impossibly unique background settings that like I might even be using the wrong term for this, but it almost felt like magical realism. Like the craziest things were happening behind them, and that it almost felt like a fantasy almost. Because every single place that they went, it was like, oh, this is very interesting things happening behind them. It also included, I'm not going to say who, but one of the craziest cameos that I've ever seen. Like, not really, but it was so just like blink and you miss it. And it was like, is that who I think it is? And I even went to IMDb and tried to find this person on IMDb on this movie, wasn't even there. I had to Google it elsewhere where they mentioned, yes, this person is in this movie. So I just enjoyed that kind of those weird little just quirky things that were going on in the background. I think they talk about uh, cities being main characters in movies. Like there's people who use that term. Like New York's the main character of this movie. Uh, I'm not even sure where they were in this, but I think they were kind of going for
Raylan.
that. Where like, oh, Rye, so Rye Lane itself. Okay, I thought maybe like an actual city, but Rye Lane, maybe Rye Lane is a city. I don't know. I'm from America, but I think they were going for that. Where like this whole area they were in, like, is this really unique place, and that was kind of a character in the movie. I think they were going for that. I really enjoyed those backgrounds and those weird, quirky things going on around them at all times. Um, this movie also used like fisheye lens a bunch of times, and I usually hate that. And every single time they used it, I was like, they are using this in a way that adds so much to the shot and creates such a visual, like, just fun, weird thing. I don't know how to explain it, but just using kind of unique shots in really interesting ways that I enjoyed, and the type of shots that I don't usually enjoy. So I thought that was really really cool. I was really happy to see that in there. And my number one favorite thing, Austin, Eric, the character of Eric, cracked me up because he is just like I don't want to go into too much detail. I don't want to give you any spoilers, but he was just this guy who just seemed really, really excited about everything that was going on, even though I don't want to give away anything, but just if you're going to see this movie, keep your eye on Eric. He just made me laugh. I thought he was really, really funny and really enjoyed like having him around at times. Um, I like what you mentioned about the British humor, even though sometimes it would like slap you with some like really crazy stuff. There was a shot that had to do with two people urinating that I was like, Where did that come from? This feels like it was a moment that came from a completely different movie. Like it came out of nowhere, but also like because of that, I was able to laugh. Like you usually that kind of a joke specifically, I would hate in a movie. But because it came out of nowhere, almost totally out of context with like the humor of the rest of the movie, I was like, okay, I'm on board with this. This is funny. I liked it. So yeah, no, I thought that was fun. Um, was there anything you disliked about the movie?
Yeah. So not really like a dislike, but just kind of like a warning going into the movie. It is very dialogue heavy. There's a lot of conversation and just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And that's kind of where I was going back into. Like it felt very real because there was so much conversation that was happening. And that makes up a lot of the movie. Now, kind of to the point that you made, like they do a lot of like the scene progression and moving that takes a lot of your mind off how heavy of a dialogue it is, but you will very much lose yourself in the details really quick if you're just not paying attention to what's being said or what's really going on. So that's one warning for it. Other thing I definitely want to make sure is viewer discretion. There's some old man ass and balls that show make an appearance. Oh,
Did I miss something?
did you
You're gonna
miss
have to
that?
tell me after we're done recording
Oh,
because I am like so totally lost on what you said. I must have looked at my phone for like a millisecond. I don't know.
oh
Tell
man.
me later. I'm excited to hear
Okay.
about this.
Yeah, so just be wary of that because it was it definitely I was like, "Whoa, buddy. All right." Um but I mean it's not the biggest of deals. There's lots of buts. But so I guess that's really the only thing there. Honestly, like it's for it being a romantic comedy, I'm going to give it like a huge leash here. It was fine. It was great for what it was and I had a good time with it. Matt, do you have anything?
Um yeah, and it's not even the fault of the movie itself. I think single day romance movies tend to be inherently flawed anyway
Hmm.
because I mean, I guess in my experience personally, not that I'm exactly the most romantically experienced person, you don't like meet someone in one day and like feel this way about them. I guess is what I'll say. So any kind of movie that does that, I'm a little bit like, whatever. I don't know. But again, that being said, I really did enjoy the movie. But there's always that little thing gnawing at me. Um, I also don't totally see the draw in these people.
Hmm.
Like sometimes when I see a romantic comedy, like I want to see a guy that I'm like, man, I think he might convince me to date him a little bit. And the female be like, she's really cute and she's very charismatic. I'm definitely like, if I were a human being in this situation, I would want to date her, you know? So I didn't necessarily feel like they felt charismatic or dateable. And I guess I look for that in a romantic comedy a little bit. Um, and I get why they weren't, but personally, I think that it took away from the movie for me personally. But
Because you're
if
a
you do,
loser. I'm just
uh,
kidding.
I was they were also dressed very very nice. I loved the main character's style. I loved his jacket. I loved his mustard sweater. I loved his pants. I loved his shoes.
Pink
I
shoes.
loved his headphones. Yeah, I thought he was very well dressed. If you do like movies like the Before trilogy, I think this is a movie that plays with that same, I guess not genre, but that same format. Um, so yeah,
Nice.
that's what I'd say.
And
It's
if you
worth
like
a
any
watch.
Disney movie where they have a one day romance, you might like this as well.
Is there a lot of Disney one day romance movies? What?
Like Little Mermaid,
Oh,
Princess and the
that's true.
Frog,
Yeah, yeah,
Frozen.
yeah.
I guess Aladdin also falls in there.
There's an old one called One Fine Day. It's got
Hercules.
George Clooney and Michelle Pfeiffer, I think. Yeah. Anyway, it
Maybe
was one of those movies that I watched with my mom at probably a younger age than I should have been watching
with
a
your
movie like that.
mom.
Not that it was inappropriate, but just kind of, Anyway,
Fair.
yeah.
Cool.
Okay.
Well, hey,
Cool.
if you like what we heard, please like, subscribe. We'll talk to you next time. Bye.
Bye forever.